Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you today. Oh, yeah, the Michigan problem. NCAA is in panic mode.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we have a problem.
That's right. Houston, we got a problem. Michigan is a problem. Wow, did they play well. Good grief. We got to talk about that. We got to talk about the Michigan players mocking Alabama. It's funny. And also Nico, man, for the Vols. A star is born. That guy looked great. That was his first ball game. You're not supposed to go out and get 4 touchdowns in your first ball game. That's not normal, especially against a top 10 defense. So anyway, let's get into these stories because this is pretty interesting. All right, so Michigan has beaten Alabama. And let me tell you something. You just don't beat Bama. That's not a team you just get to roll over. So, you know, I got to give them a lot of credit for that. I hate doing it. This is frustrating for me.
I got to do something here. I still can't believe it.
I got to give them props. In my opinion, and for Alabama fans, you might not want to hear this. Matter of fact, humongous, do your thing.
Just walk away.
Yeah, Bama, you got bullied. Michigan bullied Alabama. I never thought I would see that. I would never thought I would see a Nick Saban team bullied. Michigan whooped them, man. They whooped them up front. That's what surprised me. Now, Alabama could have easily won that game, and they darn near did because that's what Bama does. Bama always makes it so difficult to beat them. It's always in the last second, last minute. That's how we beat them, in the last second. And that's just how it is. You're not going to take the king down easily. It's always going to be difficult. But Michigan did it. And you look at these numbers. Jalen Milroe was 16 for 23, but he only threw for 116 yards. And the reason he struggled, he got sacked 6 times. And they just wore him out. And he's not some just super easy guy to tackle. I mean, he's strong, he's quick, he's fast. They just bull rushed him, man. They just came in there and just pummeled him many, many times. It was kind of shocking. And J.J. McCarthy played well. He was 17 for 27, 221. The big thing, he had 3 touchdowns. McCarthy's a fine player. He's turned out to be really good. I thought Blake Corum played well. 19 carries for 83 yards and a touchdown. He played well. McClellan played pretty well for Alabama, 87 yards. But when you look at the totals, you know, Alabama had 288 and Michigan had 351. So they had more yardage. But McCarthy only got sacked 1 time. And you got to remember, a sack is basically like, it's basically like almost a holding penalty, only you lose the down too. So they had 5 more of those. So that was really difficult. And Michigan tried to give the game to them a couple times. I thought they were going to at the end when that guy had that fumble on that punt, which was the second fumble on a punt. When he went right down to the 1-yard line, I was like, God, they're going to get a safety. Game over. But went just to the very last. Went to overtime. What a great overtime. Now that call, just the straight quarterback sneak up the middle, was very surprising. I'm wondering if that bad snap, being low, kind of put Milroe in a bad mindset. He just thought, well, crap, I just better run, because he didn't feel comfortable to look around. Maybe he had an option there to throw it, or maybe it was just a pure quarterback sneak up the middle. Hard to say, but those bad snaps were definitely a problem. But I can tell you right now, at the NCAA, they're in panic mode.
Remain calm. All is well.
Absolutely. What are you going to do? He's already been suspended twice, 2 3-game suspensions. You're going to suspend him again, probably over the Burgergate crap.
What do you intend to do, sir? Delta's already on probation.
Then, as of this moment, they're on double secret probation.
But the big thing, the Cole Connor Stallions and the sign stealing and all that alleged stuff, that's the big dog stuff. And if they win the national championship, and they might very well, I'm going to tell you something, they have surprised me. They just keep winning and playing really well. If they win this national title, I mean, you got to give it to them, but are they going to have it vacated 6 months later? This has absolutely got the NCAA in some serious stress mode, because they don't know what to do. If he wins, they're just going to have to hand him the trophy.
I'm so happy for you. Thank you. I owe you both a debt of gratitude.
And here's the thing about vacating things. Nobody really gives a crap later on. It's the experience. It's the excitement. It's the winning. And I've said this, if I'm Michigan fans and I'm Jim Harbaugh or whoever, I just keep winning as much as I can and try to win that natty. And even if they take it from you a year from now or whenever, so what? You won it. Everybody knows you won it. So this is perplexing and difficult for the NCAA and the Big Ten. The Big Ten commissioner's got to be stressed out too, because he's sitting there going, every coach is mad. Every coach in the Big Ten is mad because of the whole Connor Stallions thing over the last 2.5 years, which has helped their recruiting as well. When you're winning Big Ten championships, that helps your recruiting. So now you've got much better players than you would have had, supposedly. So this is a big mess, and I'm not going to be shocked if Michigan wins now. They've about made a believer out of me. The way they handled Bama, they're going to be going up against Washington, and Washington's got Michael Penix Jr. Man, can that guy ball out? Good grief, did he play well. But that should be a great game. I'm leaning towards thinking Michigan might win this thing. Oh, my gosh, if they do, oh, man, total bedlam. So I'll be watching this closely. This Michigan thing, this is the Jelly of the Month Club.
Clark, that's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
That it is, Edward.
It just keeps on giving. My gosh, unbelievable. I did not see them doing that to Bama. I just didn't. And that's probably some of my SEC bias kicking in. But anyway, great game by Michigan. And, whew, man. Oh, and let me show you what the Michigan players had to say about mocking Alabama, the players. This is pretty funny.
Pass about number time. Blitz, Bama, blitz, baby. Blitz, Bama, blitz. I love America and I love the Tide, baby. And I love Will and the Death. Yeah, right. Don't give a shit about piss for the Tide. Tide, go get them. Tide, go take them down. 24 to 17.
All right, so here's what the Michigan fans did with that.
Baby. Don't give a pass about number time. Blitz, Bama, blitz, baby. Blitz, Bama, blitz. I love America and I love the Tide, baby. And I love.
All right, so obviously had some fun with that. That was pretty funny, I got to admit. So obviously the Michigan players are having a lot of fun with it. Look, man, they won. They get to enjoy. It's just the way that it is. Social media. There you go. All right, so now we're going to talk about Nico. Good grief. His very first ball game starting, and he goes up against a top 10 defense in the Citrus Bowl in front of millions of people and scores 4 touchdowns. Ran for 3, threw for 1. And look, his protection was not good. Both of our tackles were out due to injury, so we had 2 backup tackles against a very good front 7. And both our top 2 running backs were out. They've opted to the NFL draft. So we had our backup running backs who aren't particularly good at picking up blitzes. And if you watched the game, you saw that. So Nico got sacked a bunch, 6 times, which is way too many. Had we had our starters in, our normal starters, that wouldn't have happened. He'd probably got sacked a couple times. But needless to say, they were all over him, but he played great. And I'll show you his numbers. And, of course, Tennessee blew them out 35-0 because Iowa's offense is terrible, and our defense played well. Their quarterback was 7 for 18 for 56 yards and 2 interceptions. Those interceptions were tragic. And his QBR was 0.5. I've never seen anything that low ever in my life. Then they brought in their dual threat guy who actually ran the ball really well, but he was only 2 for 7. He was not so good throwing the ball, but he ran well. As a matter of fact, he was the leading rusher in the game, and he only played in like the 4th quarter. He had 51 yards. So they had 60 yards passing. 60. That's not a typo, folks. 60. Whew, that is tragic. Then running the ball, they had 113. Well, their quarterback, the dual threat in the 4th quarter, had 51. So their total yardage was 173 yards. Woo! Get you some of that. 173. And we were worried about our secondary because our entire secondary left. They went in the transfer portal or they graduated. And we've got nothing but freshmen, a couple of sophomores back there, and I think we had 1 transfer guy. And they performed well, and they broke up several passes. I was real pleased. They had 2 interceptions, one of which was by James Pierce, who looked like a linebacker all of a sudden. He's supposed to be a defensive end, and he caught that ball and took off, and he must run like a 4.6 40 at 250 pounds or whatever it is. Man, did he look good. And he also got a strip sack, which was huge. Basically, Pierce scored 14 points. He scored the 7, and then he created another 7 by giving him the ball at the 2-yard line, which was fantastic. So James Pierce gets runner-up player of the game. But then you got to see what Nico did. And even though he was under duress the entire game, he went 12 for 19, 151 yards, had a QBR of 80. But the big thing he did was he ran the ball beautifully. and ran 3 touchdowns, and he made it look easy. He's just, that guy's smooth out there. I'm going to tell you what he reminds me of, and you've heard this before. He looks like a tall Bryce Young, and he's much quicker and elusive than I expected him to be at 6'6". That was the beautiful thing about Bryce Young. He was a magic man. I mean, he would be here, and you had 3 guys around him, and he would click his fingers, disappear, and wind up 5 yards away running. He was a magician. And I tell you, Nico's got some of that. Now, it's hard for a guy 6'6" to be a magician out there, but he made it look easy. I mean, he really did. His instincts in the pocket and his ability to run is going to be a true asset. And it reminds me of the way Hendon Hooker was, but he's smoother than Hendon. So should be a fantastic couple of years if he can stay healthy. I mean, that's every quarterback's got to stay healthy. That's just the way it is. But he's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the nation. That's pretty obvious. You don't start out getting 4 touchdowns against a top 10 team in your very first start. You don't do that. That is not normal. It's completely abnormal.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
And Dylan Sampson ran for 133 yards. He had a very nice game. He's got to work on his blocking. He must work on his blocking. Cam Selden had a nice game, 55 yards. They both had, 4.2 yard average, 6.7. So that was really nice. I was pleased with that. So overall, great game, 35-0. There's nothing to complain about. Defense played well. Nico showed out. Of course, he was the player of the game. No shock there. And a lot of people expected that. I was one of them. And he just, you've seen it all year. You've seen that little bit of magic every time he gets on the field. And my understanding, and I've been hearing that Josh Heupel made the decision to start Nico back in the middle of December, but he was being, look, we know that Josh Heupel likes to play games with the other coach's head and does not want to lay his cards out there, which I understand that. So it turns out that it wasn't Joe Milton leading people on or not being able to make a decision. The decision was made in the middle of December. So, that makes some sense. And I don't blame Josh Heupel for that. Look, Josh wants to win. He's a super competitive guy. Doesn't matter if it's tiddlywinks. He wants to win. So he's not about to give an edge to a coach. He's going to make him think Joe's going to go the whole time, and then boom, Nico. What a heck of a day. Some absolute fantastic games. I really enjoyed it. All 3 of the games couldn't have been more exciting. Of course, for us Vols, it was exciting, even though it was 35-0. I know the regular person or the Iowa people didn't appreciate it, but I loved it. But then the Michigan-Alabama game, Washington-Texas game, those were just amazing. And Michigan's a problem. They just flat out are. I don't know what the NCAA is going to do. I guess if they win, they're going to hand them the trophy. Man. So anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover all these big stories. Of course, my Vols. And if you've not subscribed, it's on your right, my left. Just hit this little button right here. It costs you not a dime, and it would help me out. I'd appreciate it. And right over here's the most recent video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.